Hello, my name is DeMichael Cole. This is Ice Cole Sports News. Today I'm making my first YouTube video and we're 1 week away from college football. So I'll be previewing my college football season this year as well as my predictions for the season. Well, let's get started. We're going to start off with the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference. Well, my predictions for the Atlantic Coast Conference this season, I predict Clemson to barely edge out Florida State for the conference this year. It was a hard choice, but I think Clemson has the edge at quarterback. They have Deshaun Watson coming back, and Florida State's projected starter this season was Sean McGuire, and Sean McGuire was injured in fall practice. So I want to give the edge to Clemson, and I like Clemson's defense as well. Clemson lost a lot of starters on defense, but they have a nice defensive tackle in Carlos Watkins coming back, who's projected to do big things this year, as well as at the wide receiver position. Last season, they missed Mike Williams, and now they have Mike Williams to go back with Artavis Scott for a nice duo, as well as Wayne Gallman in the backfield to help out Deshaun Watson. My sleeper team in the ACC is Louisville. Louisville is sneaky. Louisville has Lamar Jackson as their quarterback this year. He was a freshman last season. He had his ups and downs, but he finished strong in his bowl game, throwing for over 200 and also rushing for over 200 yards. They have a nice schedule this year, and they could surprise either Clemson or Florida State. They get Florida State at home, but I believe overall Clemson will win the ACC. Well, now let's get to the Big Ten. The Big Ten this year, it all starts with Ohio State. Ohio State lost 12 players. 12 players to the NFL draft this year. But Urban Meyer is always reloading talent out there at the Horseshoe. So, of course, that's my prediction to win the Big Ten this year. Well, I have a couple other teams that I like as well. I like Michigan State. But Michigan State, I don't think they'll be able to edge out Ohio State this year. Michigan State has a nice running back that I like, L.J. Scott. I really like him as a running back this year. I think that he's a running back that could rush for about 1,500 yards this year. And they have a nice defensive tackle, Malik McDowell, which should really put his name out there as one of the best defensive tackles in the nation this year. Michigan, a lot of people are starting to jump on the Michigan bandwagon and all the hardball talk and everything, but me, I'm a little hesitant to pull the trigger on Michigan quite yet. I feel that Michigan is 1 year away. I think Michigan is due for about a 9-3, maybe 10-2 season, but I don't think they're quite on Ohio State's level yet. So I want to give the edge to Ohio State to win that conference, mainly because of the quarterback position. They have J.T. Barrett, and he doesn't have to battle this year with quarterback controversy. So J.T. Barrett should lead that team. They still have a lot of talent. The talent's definitely going to have to grow up, but they have a lot of talent on offense, a lot of talent on defense, because everybody knows Urban Meyer recruits very well. So Ohio State is my pick to win the Big Ten. Now, let's move on to the Big 12, where defenses go to die, or the land of the offenses, whichever one you want to call it. But yeah, the Big 12. My prediction to win the Big 12 this year is none other than Oklahoma. I mean, Oklahoma has 15 returning starters. They have 7 coming back on offense, led by Baker Mayfield, a potential Heisman candidate, and Samaje Perine, who, in many people's eyes, is a top 5 running back in the nation. So, Oklahoma will be star-studded this year. That defense is nasty, and they're ready to do big things down there in the Big 12 because they're one of the few teams that actually have a nice defense in the Big 12. But a couple other teams that I like Oklahoma State. Mason Rudolph is a nice quarterback down there. He's very sneaky good. Mason Rudolph put up big numbers last year, and he's a full-time starter this year. Also has a nice receiver in James Washington, who also put up big numbers last year. But that defense is going to have to help the offense out. The offense is definitely going to put up numbers, but they'll need some help. Also, I like Baylor. Now, when people hear that, I'm like, no, Baylor? Yeah, Baylor. Baylor will be pretty good this year, like usual. But depth is the concern there. They lost a lot of their freshman class after the Art Briles scandal and everything, and they lost a lot of depth with that freshman class heading out. So Baylor will have to depend on their starters, but they have a nice offense. Baylor's offense is led by Seth Russell, who's coming back from his injury from last season, and he was in Heisman talks last year, but the injury derailed that. But Oklahoma is my pick to win the Big 12 this year, and quite frankly, I don't think it'll be that close. All right, now let's move on to the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is going to be interesting this year, to say the least. You have the big favorite, Stanford, and then you have the usual favorite, Oregon. And then you have the middle of the pack teams that could sneak up and surprise this year. So let's get started. My predictions for the Pac-12, I predict Stanford to win the Pac-12, and I'll give you one reason: Christian McCaffrey. Nah, but seriously, Stanford has a lot of returning starters this year, 7 on offense, 7 on defense, and they will be led by Christian McCaffrey. Even though they're breaking in a new quarterback this year, I think, like always, David Shaw will have that defense playing ball, and Christian McCaffrey will have that offense moving the ball pretty well, and they should hold up against all the spread teams in the Pac-12. Oregon, I like Oregon this year. I like the FCS transfer they brought in to play quarterback. Put up nice numbers. First team all FCS projection last year. So he's going to be a nice addition to that offense. But the defensive front for Oregon will be key. They have all of their returning starters on the defense. They have 5 returning starters. They have 1 from the defensive front. And they have the entire secondary coming back. So the front 7 will be key for Oregon because they have no returning linebackers this year with starting experience. So they will have to step up in major roles this year. And also, I like UCLA. UCLA is led by Josh Rosen, the quarterback that was the 5-star quarterback coming out of high school and had a pretty good freshman year that slowly went downhill, but he should rebound pretty well this year and bounce back with a nice season. And a dangerous offense in the Pac-12 can be pretty sneaky. But overall, I like Stanford. They nice defense to go with Christian McCaffrey, who's going to rush for maybe 1,500 yards this year, along with plenty of receiving yards as well, and nice kick return numbers. Look for him in Heisman talks. No. Now we're moving on to the SEC, the Southeastern Conference, where they play big boy football. Well, I know you're thinking the usual. Yeah, Alabama's going to win the West. They're going to destroy a team in the East in the SEC Championship, and then they're going to move on to the college football playoff. Not this year. My predictions for the SEC, I project LSU will win the SEC this year. LSU has the most returning starters in the nation to go along with the best player in the nation in Leonard Fournette. Also, a lot of people are skeptical of Brandon Harris, the LSU quarterback. But this year, Brandon Harris will be a second-year starter, and I expect him to take that jump as a second-year quarterback, and that jump should be enough to get LSU over the hump. Yeah, and over the hump, I mean that Alabama hump. So, my sleeper team, the Vols. You guessed it, the Tennessee Vols this year. They're getting a lot of hype this year. I project the Vols to come out the East, and you know why. I mean, they have a lot of returning starters. They have one of the best running back duos in the nation with Alvin Kamara and Jalen Hurd to go along with a nice defense, especially up front. They have a very nasty defensive front. And at quarterback, Josh Dobbs is one of the few returning starters at quarterback this year. So experience at the quarterback position will be key in the SEC. So, but I think in the SEC championship game, they don't get past LSU. So LSU is my prediction to win the SEC. Now let's get to some fun. Let's get to some Heisman talk. Well, this year for the Heisman, I'll give you 5 names. Christian McCaffrey, running back out of Stanford. Running back Dalvin Cook. Running back Leonard Fournette. Quarterback Deshaun Watson. And quarterback Baker Mayfield. Yeah, surprising? Don't be surprised that 3 running backs are on the Heisman list. The running back is the best position in college football this year, so this year it's safe to say it's the year of the running back. But my prediction to win the Heisman is Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette was a runaway last year through the first 7 weeks of the season to win the Heisman. But after the Alabama performance, Derrick Henry took that crown. So this year, with more help, Leonard Fournette should win the Heisman. And with more help, I mean more wins. Last season, they lost 3 games in a row. LSU did. So this year, if LSU, as I project, wins the SEC, Leonard Fournette should win the Heisman. All right, now we're to the college football playoff predictions. Well, for number 4, I have Oklahoma. At 3, check this out, I have Alabama. At 2, I have Clemson. And at 1, I have LSU. So yes, I do have 2 SEC teams in my college football Final Four predictions. And yeah, because the Big Ten, I'm not sure that Ohio State will get there this year. They're going to be a very young team, but I think they'll be good enough to get out of the Big Ten. And the Pac-12, I think no one will escape the Pac-12 with less than 2 losses this year. So those are my 4 predictions to get in the college football playoffs. And the college football championship, well, I have LSU beating Oklahoma, and I have Clemson beating Alabama this time around. So it'll be LSU versus Clemson in the championship game. The 2 best players in the nation, Deshaun Watson, Leonard Fournette, leading their teams in what could be the final season for both as collegiate football players. But I think LSU will edge out Clemson 28-24 for the college football championship. This is DeMichael Cole, and this is my first video. You can subscribe below and let me know what you think. All right, thanks.